You don't get to do that. Hell beneath is stirred up to meet you when you come. There's a day. It rouses the shades to greet you. All the leaders of the earth it raises from their thrones who were kings. There will be a lot of leaders in hell, right? A lot of kings, a lot of rulers. I'm sorry, that's their problem. All of them will answer and say, here you are with us. You thought you were getting away with it. That's what you want. Isaiah 14, we'll read it. You've become like us. Your pomp is brought down to hell. The sound of your harps. Maggots are laid as a bed beneath you, and worms in your covers. How you have fallen from heaven, day star, son of dawn. How you were cut down to the ground. The day star is Satan. Hey? You said, I'll set my throne on high. I'll sit on the Mount of Assembly in the far reaches. I will ascend above the heights. I'll make myself like the Most High God. And you have been brought down to hell to the far reaches of the pit. Those who see you will stare at you and wonder and say, is this the one who made the earth tremble, who shook kingdoms, who made the world like a desert, and overthrew cities, who led people like Hitler and all these other crazy folks? Is this the guy? We haven't gotten to that day yet, have we? But you know what God says for us to do? When we get free, He says, remind Satan of his future. When you get free and he comes back in and wants to harass you, you say, let me remind you of your future. You are headed for hell. And you got maggots for a bed and worms forever. And you're going to be in an unending fire, so you just need to get your tail out on the other side of the street. Because I know who I am, and I know who you are. And my God is God. Scripture says deal with the dude. Don't sit there and argue with him. Remind him of his future. I love Scripture. But you got to read the whole book to figure a few things out. I mean, I'm over here in Ezekiel, I'm over here in Isaiah. These places, and I'm going, God, I didn't just write a chapter on the other side. You know, and say, this is who Satan is. Why did you hide it over here? Why did you put it over here? Why did you put it over here? It's not hidden. It's just not many people are going to read Isaiah to find it. And not many people are going to read Ezekiel to find it. But if you'll study the Word and put it inside of you, you start learning these things and you realize how powerful God is inside of you against this stuff. And if that's Satan's future, well, Santa Muerta, she's down somewhere on the totem pole. He's the head dude. She's way down here. Right? So what do you think her future's like? The same thing. Right? Santeria. Right? Santeria all through this city. All through Oklahoma. I can walk around, I can tell you the houses. Right? I sometimes walk the streets and say, God, what's going on in this house? And he goes, this is going on here. If you go out witnessing with me, which you do sometimes, I'll go up to a door and say, we're not messing with that door. They'll go lie. I said, just don't mess with it. Let's go to the next one. Because nobody in there is going to listen. Right? I've had crews go out and I had a mission in DeSoto, Missouri years ago. And I had crews going out, and these two guys come back and they go, Phil, we don't know what's going on, but we talked to this guy. Only his voice wouldn't come out. And there was about 5 voices that came out in the conversation. I said, well, cool, let's go visit him. I said, you going with me? They said, we don't want to go. You got to let me show me where he lives, right? And so the 3 of us went back, but I'm not sending you back by yourself. We went back, and he opens the screen, and sure enough, all these voices start coming out. And I stick my foot in the screen. I said, let's have one conversation. I said, you know what you're dealing with. These things are your friend. You've been living with them for a while. He said, yeah, and I like them. I said, any day you want to get rid of them and be free of all that mess, here's my phone number. But if you want to live with it, there's nothing I can do. I mean, I can, but it'll be worse for you tomorrow than it is today. And we had that little conversation. He never did call me. But I gave him an opportunity. He deserved an opportunity, right? To know that he could be delivered if he wanted to. That he didn't have to live with that. Why? Well, because God brought him to our doorstep. And if he brings them to my doorstep, I'm going to deal with it. Because what did it say back there? We are ambassadors of Christ. We have this hope. We have this power. We need to be taking it out and doing something with it. Not hiding. It's not comfortable, but it's not dangerous. I've never gotten into anything I haven't gotten out of. I'm still here to tell you all the stories, and I started in 1976. So what's that? 43 years? So, we're going to skip talking too much about him, other to note that he has an empire. He's got all these demons, right? But if Satan's sitting in that chair, he can't be sitting in that chair. I don't know how big his bottom is, but I have a feeling it's not that big. He's finite. He can't be in Gainesville, in Fairfield. He is a finite being. If you look in the book of Revelation, it will tell you where he was living at that time. It's a city called Thyatira, and he said, I know Satan has his throne in your city. Right? Scripture talks about some interesting things. It says this is where he's living today. I don't know where he's set up today. Probably in Washington, D.C. No. But he's finite. So he has beings, right? Or, he might move around a bit. I don't know. He is an angel. He can move, but he's finite. He can't be here and there. But he does have an empire. He does have, Pastor the other morning was saying, I need to know what, strong demons are in this area. So I don't even care anymore because they've been thumped. I can tell you all their names. I've been dealing with them for 6 years in my quiet time. I don't come in on Sunday morning to do that stuff. That's freaky if I can run out the back door. Right? But I got a prayer closet and I deal with it. Right? So I know it, but it's been defeated, so I don't need to name it. I've studied this community. I know the history. I know what's been going on. I know where demons appear on a regular basis. And, some people are going to, there's filming crews that come into the city to film demons all the time. There's places in this city on the National Register of Demons. I'm serious. People fly into this city just to see demons. I'm so sorry. After the National Day of Prayer, somebody's going to lose their business. Because that's going to be the end of some of this stuff. Right? You can go into the book of Acts and stay in there with me and find where people were making money off of their demons. And the apostles got tired of it and said, that's enough. And cast the demons out. And they took them to court because they messed with the guy's money machine. We get used to our demons, don't we? So he's got an empire. You can go look those scriptures up, or I can email them to you. Revelation 12:4, Matthew 25:41, Luke 4:33, Luke 6:18, Luke 9:42. If you're out there and you want all that stuff, put me a note down there, and I'll shoot you the PowerPoint that you're not seeing while we're talking here. He has a nature. What is the enemy's nature? There you go. Right? John 10:10. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. There's his nature. He's a liar. What did Jesus say when they were coming to him? He said, you're of the father of the devil. He's a liar, and you're a liar too. He's a liar. He's a thief. He comes to destroy. If you serve him, he'll kill you. If you walk he destroys everybody he works with. Anybody seen a healthy drug addict lately? Anybody seen somebody healthy who's got depression or anxiety? Ever see a leader who's just got a control freak? They're just controlling people. They're just unhappy. And they die from heart attacks early. Right? You serve Satan, he's going to kill you. It's his nature. He'll tell you, hey, I'll make you rich. I'll do this. I'll make people love you. He's going to destroy you. It's his nature. He can't do anything else. It's like the old fable, right? The duck is swimming out in the pond, and the scorpion comes up. Aesop told this years ago. The scorpion comes up and says, "Duck, I can't get across the water. It's too hot. Would you give me a ride?" And the duck's going, "If I give you a ride, you're going to sting me." He goes, "No, I need a ride. I won't sting you. It finally convinces the duck, so he climbs up on his head, and the duck gives him a ride to the other side, and just before he jumps off the duck head, bam, stings him in the head. And while the duck is dying, he's going, "Why did you do that?" He goes, "I just can't help it. It's my nature." Well, if Aesop knew that before Christ, we ought to get it too. Hey, you don't mess with evil. It's just its nature to kill. No matter what it tells you. It's going to kill you. So that's the nature of the demonic. He's organized. You can go into Scripture, Matthew 12:26, Ephesians 6:12. You remember Ephesians 6:12? We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and spiritual forces of wickedness and rulers of darkness in the heavenly realms. You know what that is? It's like saying we wrestle with majors and lieutenants and sergeants. It's a hierarchy. Principalities, powers, spiritual forces of wickedness, rulers of darkness. It's a hierarchy. He's saying some things are stronger than others, but God's stronger than all. He also said don't get into studying that stuff. Well, is a principality bigger than the power? Oh, just go on. That'll get you into all sorts of trouble. Don't go there. He says don't get into that kind of study. Don't go studying angels and demons and stuff. Just know that he's organized and he has a hierarchy. Right? Okay. Don't sweat it. God's bigger than all of it. He's persistent. Jesus talks about that. He says you take the strong man. If you cast demons out and you don't fill somebody up with something else, right? Why do I tell people, before you ever want to deal with the demonic, what do you want to do? You want to walk in his ways, you want to live with his love, and you want to worship with all your heart. You want to fill yourself up so that when you push him out, there's no space for him to come back. Because Jesus said, if you leave a gap, he's going to go get 7 more ugly and come back with him. It's his nature to get you the second time worse than the first time. How hard is it? Why do I have a hard time sometimes with people who go to rehab? Because they go to rehab, they get a break. And when they come back, within a week, they're 7 times worse than when they went to rehab the first time. It's a principle of evil. They didn't get filled up with enough to stop it from all sliding back in. Go to rehab 3 times and you are one mess. Everybody here knows somebody who did rehab 3 times and going, man, it just keeps getting worse every time. But when they came out, they looked so good. The nature of the enemy is to make it 7 times worse if you don't fill it back up with the right stuff. And 7 times 7 times 7 is one ugly mess. I get nervous about sending people to rehab until I can get them filled up before they go in. They may need the detox, right? We'll detox you later. Right now, just go ahead and do your drugs and let's get you filled up. Right? And we'll detox you later. We'll start stair-stepping this down. But I want you full before I detox. I want you full before I start casting this stuff out. Or you're going to walk out here and accuse me of being of some kind of a quack. Because you're going to go back and you're going to be 7 times worse next week. And say, well, you prayed for me and it all went away. I said, yeah, but you didn't listen to what I told you. Which was get back in here tomorrow and start filling yourself up. I won't cast demons out of somebody who's not in the same church I'm in. Why? Because I can't watch them. And I care. It's better just to live with it. And when you're ready, let's deal with it. I got tired of people sending me people from other states and going, would you deal with this? I said, if you come down here, I'll teach you how to deal with it because they live in your city. And you're the pastor, and you need to know how to do this. And if you don't believe in it and this person comes back, you're going to convince them that nothing happened, and then they're going to go back into all that mess again. And you're going to tell me, see, you didn't know anything. If you correct the fool when he's not listening, he'll turn and shame you with it. I read that in Proverbs. If they're not listening, they're a fool. Right? So how does he get in? And why would you want to get him out? The word to cast out demons is ekbalo. Anybody got any balls in this place? That's where we get our word ball from. Greek for throw is ball. So ekbalo means to throw out. Our English word ball is from the Greek word balo, which means to throw. So ekbalo means to throw out. Ball is something we throw. Right? The world might get in there. John talks about that in John 8:44. Again, I can print this stuff out and give it to you. We're running through it fast because I don't want to sit here and talk about demons all night. I want to talk about release. 1 Samuel 15:22-33. There's a whole set of scriptures in there that talks about where Samuel went out and rebelled against God. Or not Samuel, but Saul. And then Samuel, the prophet of God, comes to him and says, rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. And from that point on, Saul was harassed by the demonic because of rebellion. He died harassed by the demonic. David would come play and he'd get a little bit of relief. And then as soon as David, and then he'd try to kill David while he was trying to calm down the demons in him. Because of his rebellion, he was full of the demonic. Fear. God's not giving you a spirit of fear. Whoops, a spirit of what? A spirit. An evil spirit, the fear even of Timothy, but a power of love and a sound mind. So don't mess with that fear. Fear many times is a spirit. 1 John 4:18. If you're made perfect in love, perfect love casts out fear. Because fear brings with it the thought of punishment. And if you're made perfect in love, you're not afraid of punishment, and that fear can't get to you. Because what are you doing? You're living with the love of God. And you're walking in his ways, and you're worshiping him with all his heart, and that stuff can't stay. Perfect love casts out the harassment of the enemy. Why has God given us a congregation and a heart of love here? Because there is no force in the universe more powerful than the love of God. At the end of the chain, when we were in here talking about the scripture that started with virtue and the virtue knowledge and knowledge this and this and this, what was at the end? The love of God is more powerful than anything. And when we establish the love of God, there is nothing the enemy can do to stop us. He's beaten. So I'm crazy about making sure we live in the love of God, even though people don't understand it and come in and try and do all kinds of other things. Because it gives freedom to everybody. It's powerful. Worldly living, drugs. There's only one word for witchcraft in all of the New Testament. You know what it is? Pharmacosia. Pharmacy. Now that doesn't mean the drugstore is a witchcraft store. What it means is witch actually is the English word for drugs. So it's not, the little black thing with the hat on. Witch is the old Anglo word for drugs. Because witches use drugs, and the enemy uses drugs to distort people and get an opening and attack. That's why all the way back into the time of Christ, when they said drugcraft, they said witchcraft. Because it's demonic. I'm not talking your aspirin. I'm talking the things that manipulate your ability to keep your mind straight and deal with things.
And what about all the porn industry and all that? Isn't that?
The occult porn, that's all into rebellion, right? If you start focusing on all that other stuff, you're going to take you there. But there's a lot more scripture about thumping the enemy on the head than there is who he is. Right? I have authority